Chat, welcome in to episode 2, season 2 of Scrim School. I am your host, Bobby Sox. If you don't know me, I do PvP things. I am average at best, but the whole point of this is I bring on people that are way better than I am, and we kind of ask them how they got where they were at now. It is an open forum. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type in chat. I will try and catch them as quickly as I can. Otherwise, type it again, highlight it. I don't know. We'll give it a shot. But let's open it up. I'm going to unmute the two guests this evening who are, if you can't tell, we have the Snipe Demon, Myrrin, and the Vigilance Wing Queen, Emmy. We're going to unmute and let's get this going. Hello, gamers.
Hey.
Hello.
All right, so I know we talked a little bit beforehand, but let's open this up. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves? When did you get started in Destiny? What do you like to do outside of Destiny? Emmy, kick it off.
Sure. So I have been playing Destiny since D1, basically after a month after the game came out. I never played any first-person shooters before at all, and had never had any interest in them. I was mostly into playing like MMOs, so I played a lot of World of Warcraft and games like that, and saw Destiny and was like, oh, this game looks cool. It's like a space magic shooter. This is interesting. So hopped into that, played a bunch of Destiny 1, and then as Destiny 2 came out, I was not so interested in it, and so I kind of laid off, but I played Destiny 1 on PS4, and I had a friend that told me Destiny 2 is really good, so I decided to start playing again back in about 2 years ago at this point. So I built a PC and decided to start trying to play mouse and keyboard. And yeah, so that's my Destiny career essentially. But outside of Destiny, I work a full-time job. I hang out with my cats, and I love binge watching TV shows and stuff. That's me. I'll toss it over to Myrrin.
Sweet. Love that.
Alright. Well, I started Destiny back, I initially started in Halo, that's where I got my FPS start, and then a friend of mine told me about Destiny 1 when it first came out, and I've been playing that basically since beta. Never really touched PvE, so it's kind of how I got to the point where I'm at. Never been a PvE guy, especially in Destiny, that's for sure. But outside of that, I am currently in college. Basically all I do is just this and that, so.
And this, what are you studying in college?
Computer science.
Ooh.
Oh, that's what I have my degree in.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's what I dropped out of. Weird.
Crazy how that
It's
works.
funny. Yeah, I graduated with a computer science degree, but then ended up in sales. So I didn't do anything with it.
There you go. I was a better frauder than I was a student, so I kind of flunked out, and then still ended up being in the tech field. And now I'm a data center operations manager, where I wish I almost had my degree sometimes. Because it gets a little rough out there. That's awesome. So if you two don't know me, I am Bobby Sox. I am a father. I am a average gamer. I am a data center operations manager by day. My goal here is just to make everybody laugh. I'm not playing to be the best. I'm not playing to help people to the lighthouse every single weekend. You too. But damn it if I don't have fun while we play, you know?
Absolutely. And it's something that I genuinely really enjoy. I'm sure Myrrin does as well, is really just kind of talking with new people, meeting people all the time through Twitch streaming. And it's really rewarding, as it is just like also just engaging with people of all different walks of life and getting to know like people by different personalities and stuff. It's a lot of fun. Destiny has definitely brought something different to gaming for me than most other games that I've ever played, especially even Twitch streaming too.
Absolutely. So let's get into the nitty gritty of it. Obviously, as you both being Trials demons, how'd you feel about the last weekend? How'd it feel with the new Void 3.0 and stuff?
It was a lot better than I expected, to be honestly.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Amy.
Yeah. I would agree too. I mean, playing comp, I felt like, just kind of prepping for trials and everything. I felt like everything was really, really sweaty during comp, and everyone was running. Obviously, invis was an issue, and the overshields were crazy, especially when you have a team of like 3 overshield titans just like baiting you in to immediately die. But I was hopeful when it came out. I was like, I saw so many people that were just doom and gloom about trials, in the very first weekend, going, oh, this is going to suck. It's going to be terrible. But I was like, I feel like it's not going to be that bad, especially considering the fact, again, we played through cheaters for seasons and
Right.
seasons and seasons. I'm like, anything's better than that at this
Yeah,
point.
we've been through the worst of it.
Exactly. I'm like,
We
that's
have.
the worst of it.
We've
This is
felt the ringers.
this is nothing, and yeah, there's always going to be something that's overpowered. There's always going to be something that you have to overcome and kind of just really brave through. And as stupid and as cheesy as it sounds, adapt.
Right.
But it's really just kind of the reality of it. And after you get past that point, it really, trials I felt wasn't too bad. So we'll see how it all pans out after the changes that they've made recently.
Yeah, absolutely. Myrrin, what'd you think? How'd you feel about it?
I feel basically the same. I played in and out of the Falls Pool this weekend, so both of them didn't really seem that bad or cheese spammy to me. It was interesting. Definitely was expecting a lot more cowardice play.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
I completely agree. I was expecting teams to just kind of abuse. I felt like I feel like Invis is obnoxious, but it wasn't as bad as the overshield Titan healing.
Oh yeah.
Because if you get a team of 3 of those guys, what are you going to do if they just decide to sit in the back of the map, wait for cap point, and then just spam up 3 overshield healing? Like, basically, they can just sit there and essentially just have constant life. And I was very concerned about that. I didn't happen to run into any teams that were really abusing that. This is
Yeah, me
not,
neither.
by the way, an advertisement.
I mean, they already touched on the Invis and shields in the TWAB, didn't they?
Yeah,
Already?
they did.
Yeah,
they
they
nerfed
did.
both.
I was very surprised about. Normally it takes them a couple months.
I thought it was going to take them a year.
I mean, if you look back at like stasis, right? How quick did they fix Warlock's stasis melee? I think they
Fairly quickly.
expected.
Yeah, but then look how long it took to nerf Shatter Dive and all these other things. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like they fix some and then the others they don't.
Yeah, exactly. I personally had no issues with trials this weekend. I mean, I only played like
Oh yeah, it wasn't bad
2
at all.
cards, but I mean, I helped. I carried a buddy that was 100 under light to the lighthouse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, he got 2-tapped by a leaf. He was 1460 when we queued it up.
That's crazy. I was bragging about our 15-12 guy that won the raffle, and we got him there. And I was like, yeah, in flawless pool too. But
Yeah, see, ours was not flawless pool. It was 1460 first night. I was 20 under light, I think. I think I was 1530.
I think
I had
it's
a
more a
cracked third,
testament to
but-
that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's more
I
a
had a cracked
testament to the
third.
player than people to stay alive. Right.
We were both pretty squishy, but we still managed to get it done. It was pretty cool. It was wild. So now that the updates are changed, obviously with the nerfs and stuff, do you think we're gonna see the same amount of Void 3.0, or do you think there's gonna be a lot less abuse this weekend?
There's definitely gonna be a change. People see nerf and they just stop using things. They don't even read it.
True. I think we'll see a lot less Invis, but Invis is in no way, shape, or form nerfed the way that people think that it is. But
That's barely changed.
yeah, it really isn't. But playing a little bit of comp, like I was saying before this podcast started, I was like, I haven't really played much in the last couple of weeks, but from what I've noticed and what I've seen in just playing comp yesterday a little bit, I'm like, yeah, they really didn't make much of a change. It is nice to be able to see them on radar, but for me personally, I feel like Invis being so difficult to see is just like, I'm still getting jump scared every 2 seconds by somebody just coming at me, which is, then again, I look at it and I go, you know what, that's something that I need to improve and then I need to adapt, is not being in my scope for so long, which is something that I have a bad habit of doing. But just to kind of be a lot more aware, since especially now they're going to be on radar a little bit better, it is improved, but it really is still just as good as it was before the nerf, essentially.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I I think when anyone sees the quote nerf, right, or adjustment, they immediately think that everything's fallen apart. It's all done. Everything's gone. And it's usually not the case, and it usually takes a couple weeks before people start realizing, okay, maybe it's not that bad. You know? So I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see how it plays out. We have a question. Hold up. Where'd it go? Oh, Nida says, Emmy, how did you come up with your name?
So it's actually, this is going to be a testament to how old I am, but back when AOL Instant Messenger was a thing, one of my best friends, she came up with this thing where we were all going to have AOL Instant Messenger names that were all the same, and hers was like Jessie Go Ska, and then a couple other friends had like their names plus Go something that they were interested in and whatever, and I just, at the time, was emo kid and whatever, was super into that like kind of environment. Is so lame, but Emigorawr just kind of like rolled off the tongue, and that's what I've been for quite some time. So I've just had that username for a while, and I just stuck with it because I don't know, I thought it's catchy in my opinion.
For you younger types,
Or
rar means I love you in dinosaur. For the emo kids.
So lame. It's funny. I constantly get people coming in chat like, "Do you actually go rar?" And I'm like, not really, but sure. But you know, I made it to channel points at this point where you have to pay channel points, and then we'll rar then.
I love that. Mendez, you have inspired Mendez. He's now going to be Mendezel Goes Grr.
Oh, I like that. All right, Mendez. I see you.
Myrrin, how'd you come up with your name?
Keep it a buck with you. I've had this name forever since I was like 10. Could not tell you.
You just smashed the keyboard and you're like, yeah, that works.
I just assumed it was your name.
No, I have no idea what it means.
Name.
Not even a
It's a
idea,
cool
to be
name.
honest with you.
He pulled it out of the ether. I like.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that. I like
Got
that a
my
lot.
forehead on the keyboard and went with it.
I like, all right, Nova's got another question for you guys, and then we'll keep rolling it in unless chat
Hold
keeps it
on.
going.
I have a question for you, Bobby. How did you come up with your name?
Oh, so...
Is your name actually even Bobby? Is that really your name?
No, it's not actually.
Okay,
I know,
now
shocking. So, we're going to go with another old statement here. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. My older brother and I used to play that game all the time, and we were trying to come up with our avatar's name. And he's like, I really like the name Bobby. And I'm like, cool. And I'm young. I'm like, I don't even remember when it came out. I think it was like 8. And I looked down and I was like, I'm wearing socks. And it stuck.
But do you actually wear socks?
I do, actually.
Oh.
I am wearing socks. I've had to prove it a couple times because that is... That's one of the questions for sure.
At least one thing about your name is true.
Yeah. So it's kind of an ode to my brother. I had a couple different gamer tags in the meantime, but when I started doing this, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give an ode to my brother. I love that everybody's trying to guess my name. That's funny. All right, let me bring it back to Nova real quick, because usually he doesn't ask actual questions, so this is kind of a shocking thing for me. He says, what are your favorite Void aspects and combos to use in PvP, and how have they changed your playstyle? If at all.
Myrrin, take this one.
Mine are just entirely off of what gave me the stats. I have no idea what they do.
Okay, good. At least he said that. Okay, I played Void for a little bit, and I did enjoy it. And if you know who I'm, like what I play, I only really play Warlock ever. And obviously, I really kind of stay consistent with my weapons, and I stay consistent with my my subclass. So I constantly play like Chaos Reach. But when Void came out, it even on Warlock, it was fairly decent, especially the stat bonuses that it gives you. My favorite thing about Void 3.0 for Warlock was, and I don't know what it's called, but was the melee that like kind of will stun. Basically, it'll stop you from doing whatever you're doing and then push you back during PvP. I really liked that.
Yeah, we call it the force push.
Right. I don't know what it's actually called.
I don't either, honestly. I
played that for a little bit. Yeah, but I went back to Chaos Reach. There's something about the Chaos Reach melee that I really, really enjoy. That's primarily the reason why I play Chaos Reach, that and the Arc Web, or Arc Bolt.
Right. I mean, I touched it for a little bit. I've been having too much fun on Titan, and I think the Titan Void is a bit underwhelming still in PvP.
Why? Why do you feel that way?
Because I am a bottom tree striker, Dune Marcher, scrub. I run, I shotgun with lightweight, I melee, I Dune chain, I walk away.
Fair enough.
It works.
It works.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody continues to push. Ooh, I do like that, AJ. And then we'll actually follow down that thread. They're both snipers. So, where did you two find your love for sniping, and what made you main it?
Yeah, for me personally, I tried it out as most people do, different weapons that I just felt I was most consistent with. It was really just trial and error for me. I think I'm a lot better than I was a year ago, growing into PvP and really just kind of diving in and improving as much as possible and constantly just trying to adjust my play style, and ended up landing on sniping because I was not a very aggressive player, because as being somebody fairly new to FPS games and being new to kind of Destiny 2 PvP as opposed to like Destiny 1, I was not very aggressive, so I kind of stuck with sniping for quite some time and just felt that was what I was most comfortable with, was kind of learning the ropes of the different maps and learning how to react to people's playstyles, and kind of being far in the back made it a lot easier for me to adapt in that aspect. And over time, I just got a lot better at sniping. I wouldn't say I'm anywhere close to Myrrin's level, but I get lucky sometimes and I hit some nasty shots here and there. But
oh, I know, I've gone against you. I spent my time trying to dodge a Spoketh and immediately after get my face ripped off. Yeah, no, that's fun.
I think the one thing that people, and I watch a lot of Guardian Theater, people respond and they say, about the way that I snipe, is like, when I get sniped from places that I go, where the fuck was this person at? I'm like, okay, that's where I'm going to be next time. So a lot of times I'll find sneaky spots to be in and just kind of claim that as my area, or like, I just typically know where somebody's head's going to be at when they come around a corner. It's like, hey, you play this enough, you get an idea of where people are going to show up. So
map awareness.
Oh.
Huge. Myrrin, dive into it. Sniping.
Alrighty. Well, so back in D1, I actually used to be a Shade Step, Handkin, and Shoddy main on the Bones of AO. They used to be my go-to before they nerfed special ammo.
I used to Shoddy too back in D1.
Yeah, so once they took out the special ammo spawning or whatever, and like Icebreaker and sidearms were the meta, that's when I swapped over to sniping, is because of Icebreaker. So that's kind of where I really learned to do that well. Then kind of just stuck with it from there on out. So I just liked how it played, I guess.
So, I know this is a question that's going to come up. Your accuracy. How did you get it so high, and how do you hold it so high?
Good.
I click the head. Like that's about it.
Is it a map awareness? Is it a slowing your shots down and understanding? Like, dive into it a little bit. Because this is a huge
short
help.
I am cheater, so
Word.
Of course.
Don't say that. There's people in here that'll actually take you serious.
No, it's all in like crosshair placement. I know where head level is like 98% of the time, right? So I'm gonna just have people just walk into my scope, and being on controller helps a little bit.
Yes, being on controller definitely helps a little bit for sure. And I'm guessing, obviously, you had to get better over time. Is there any sniper rifles you guys prefer over any of the other ones? Have you experimented with any of the other ones to see how it feels? Or do you just stick with your one?
Go-to.
Yeah, Dorad's my go-to too. ISOL, I'm very partial to as well. Izumi, I played with a little bit, but I still prefer Adored over that in that weapon slot. So, but
it's either Adored or Cloud Strike for me. It's my go-to.
Cloud Strike, oof! I can't get that gun to work for me.
Is that because of the chain, or because it just feels snappy?
It's entirely the multi-kill aspect of it. It's great.
Especially in trials.
It's definitely not a snappy. I don't feel like it's a very snappy sniper, and that's something that I can't. That's what I struggle with when I try to use it.
Okay, so we got one from Bulldogs. He says, do you more put the crosshair over people's heads before you shoot, or do you flick towards their head and shoot? They want it really broken down how you guys snipe. I like this.
For me, I'm always aiming at head level, so if somebody slides, I will basically flick down or drag to their head and then shoot. But I'm always aiming in a flick type of motion, basically.
Okay.
I agree, 100% doing the flick. And I watched a couple of Myrrin's, clips, and something that I've noticed for his, the way that he plays is different than a little bit from the way that I snipe. Is he kind of comes around and does his quick peek, literally already aiming at somebody's head, and that's something that is going to be a big difference between, it's being a quick sniper or being somebody who sits back like I do and wait for basically somebody to either jump up or make a mistake. I feel like I capitalize a lot on people's mistakes in that aspect, where he comes around, he's a very aggressive sniper.
Yeah, I will go peek everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that for me, I very much admire that about the way his game style and his gameplay. But for me, I'm not always aiming for heads, and so that's something I joke about all the time. But I say I use my sniper like a shotgun. I'll come at people and just kind of come around a corner, and I don't care about being at head level. If I can get some damage on there, I can usually finish them off with it melee or do a quick swap to, Vigilance Wing or Darkest Before quick. And that's kind of, or I can rely on my teammates, which, I'm typically always playing with Unspoken, and he's usually kind of on top of like where we're at as a team. So
yeah,
but
your standard duo.
Aspect.
Yeah, your standard duo.
Yeah.
I know. I match you guys usually, I think at least once every Monday. It's kind of how we run it out. It's one or the other of us whisper and is like, "Are you carrying? Are you carrying? Run it out."
Yep.
Every time. All right, we this was actually a great thing to lead into for both of you. Let's talk sense. As both snipers, as both different play styles, what senses do you run between KBM and controller?
Yeah. So I'm on mouse and keyboard. Myrrin, you can take it on your keyboard. What's your sense? Or your controller?
Yeah, I've been on the same sensitivity since D1 again. Things where most of my consistency comes from. So I play on an 8, but like on old gen for D1 that used to equate to a 5, I think. So it's like I've been on the same sensitivity since I started the game, basically.
Interesting. Have you ever tried to upgrade it or bump it up and see how it feels?
I haven't had a reason to.
For the fun. See if you can hit those flicks crazier at 15, 20.
I'm sure I could, but I don't really have a reason to. It's working, so I'm just rolling with it.
Right. Is your ADS modifier still stay at a 1, or do you change that as well?
It's at a 1.0.
Oh, so you're still at base.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Okay.
It works,
Interesting.
True. I mean, it has worked well for you. Very well. Emmy, what do you run for your keyboard, your sword and board sense?
It's funny, I get made fun of people come into my chat what's controller are you using, or not controller, but what sense people think I'm on controller all the time because I have a very low sensitivity. So I play on 400 DPI, 11 sensitivity with a 1 ADS as well.
So you're running the old CS:GO strats.
I wouldn't know. I never played CS:GO, but yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's what a lot of people used to do in the competitive CS:GO, and Rainbow Six was very, very low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. When I didn't know my ass from my elbow when I was hopping onto PC, because I've always played on controller in Destiny, and so when I built my computer, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I watched a video from Ceridius and something from Patty Cakes, and basically based my all my keybinds and my sensitivity to start off of on what they were doing, and just kind of copycatted that. And made just some slight tweaks and here and there when I obviously you realize certain things were working, certain things weren't, but yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I like to mess around with my sense a little bit. I like to keep mine pretty high on the sticks.
What's your sense?
I'm running at 15 and a 1.
Damn.
But I'm also
that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm a shoddy ape, so I fly in, flick. Yes, shout out Patty Cakes. We've had him on here before too, and Patty is phenomenal. Speaking of Patty, and as one of you are on mouse and keyboard, How do you feel about aim trainers?
I love them, personally. The thing is about aim trainers is like I have a weird kind of relationship with them. I like to, before I get on to playing Destiny, especially if I haven't played for a while, I like to hop on to Kovacs, and I have to cut myself off at some points and just like only play for about 10 minutes. If I play for too long, I feel like it throws me off in when I actually try to utilize that in the game. But I feel like the sweet spot for me is about 10, 15 minutes playing on aim trainers, and then I'll hop into Destiny if I need to warm up. But I think the best way to warm up is really just kind of 1v1ing friends and doing little like scrim matches before, hopping into trials and things like that. So
Sure, well, that makes sense. Myrrin, because you obviously don't use aim trainers because you're on the sticks, what do you do to warm up before a sweaty session of single and double carries?
I don't.
You don't? You just fly in?
Yeah.
oh my
Love
god.
that.
I wake
me
up,
too.
I get on.
That's me
routine for
too.
it.
I like that. Give yourself a game to warm up.
Yeah. Even when I play MK, I never used aim trainers. So you mentioned it earlier, Siege. I don't know if you played that. Yeah, I have like
yep.
2,000 hours now on PC and whatever. So I used to play a lot of that before. That was, I think, like throughout the whole first year of D2, because I was not a fan of double primary.
Okay. So if you play MK on Siege, what kept you on controller on Destiny? Is there anything in particular other than just it feels good?
Literally just felt like a controller game to me, similar to Halo,
I respect that. I definitely respect that. All right, we're gonna throw a hypothetical out for you guys. Say snipers get absolutely shit on next week, whether it's the ammo economy or the aim assist or something along those lines. Would you continue to run it, or what would you be looking towards?
I'd definitely stick with it.
I'd stick with it as well. So they did something similar to that. I think they, like a couple of seasons ago, I believe that they switched like the, what was it? Like the
It was Beyond
color-
Light. It was the aim assist, the
Yep.
way it worked.
Yes. Yep.
It made it
So
a lot harder to snipe on MK, and then aim assist got really toned down on controller.
Yeah, and
I
I still
used
stuck
to
with it.
move your reticle when you're on controller. You used to literally aim for you. It doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. So you guys are 100% snipers through and through.
Oh yeah.
I'll throw on a
So-
shotgun every once in a blue moon, but it's literally, it's got to be a full moon.
Yeah, I do it for fun
and,
in comp sometimes. That's about it.
Right.
Or in scrims.
if I
I'm not
feel-
gonna
if I'm
lie, I'd be
feeling saucy-
confused. Yeah, I'd be confused if I ran into Myrrin running a shotgun.
Reasonable.
I don't know what I would do. Punch. That's what I do.
I'm sure
I punch.
he's good with it as well.
I'm just sap on controller.
Oh, perfect. I've gone against Seb. I know how that plays out. There's a lot of talks, obviously, with the ammo economy being changed. What do you feel like it's overpowered as of now, or do you think that it's kind
I
of?
definitely think there's too much ammo. I think scavengers need to be removed from the game entirely.
Okay.
You should not get more than one bullet on pickup.
I like that. I do. Emmy, how do you feel about it?
I have no problem with it right now. I think that the changes that they made were they basically made it so that you can't, basically if you're res, you're not getting special back. I think it's a lot better than it was for sure. And I'm fairly happy with it. I mean, being a sniper main, I like being able to pick up special ammo while we're running through trials. But I mean, there's obviously going to be a limited amount of what you're going to be able to pick up. But for me, I personally don't see an issue with it. While you're playing something like comp or elimination where you can just pick it up and then carry it over, that's still, you can see the difference between the way that people are utilizing that in those game modes as opposed to the way that it is in trials. It's clearly, there's a distinction in how, people are able to take advantage of that. But I think that's fairly, for lack of a better word, fair right now, the way that the ammo is right now.
Sure. No, that's interesting because I hear a lot. I mean, this has been a question since we started this of how the ammo economy plays, and most people say it's too done, it's too over to the top, it needs tuning, it needs to be getting rid of. We need a primary meta. I don't know.
I disagree. I think things are really good right now, personally.
I don't think we need a primary meta. I just think there's too much ammo. That's my only issue with it. The fusion rifles, for example, are way too good to have as much ammo as they do.
Oh, absolutely, and that's something that we will definitely get into in a little bit. Dr. Bulldobs had a question. he said, let me scroll up. He said, is there any map that makes you say, a sniper isn't the play here?
Twilight Gap.
Really?
I mean, it is the play. I'm going to use it regardless, but for me, I would say Twilight Gap is probably like the bane of my existence. It's like my kryptonite for whatever
It's
reason
like
on that map.
It's one of my favorite sniping maps. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Get out of here!
That-
You would like Twilight Gap. Whatever.
No, I like the maps nobody else knows how to snipe on. So I also like to snipe on Anomaly. So
Get the fuck out. All right, I'm done with this game.
Terrible.
You're fired.
Terrible. Emmy, what's
see Mendez
so
gets
Myrrin,
it.
what's yours? What's your map that you feel like is a little less opportunistic for snipers?
Oh, definitely Anomaly. It's the worst sniper map, but I'm still gonna snipe on it.
I mean, Anomaly still has its opportunities to snipe. It's got a lot of long
For
lanes.
sure, every map does, but it's definitely a shotgun map. Well, I guess
Yeah.
a fusion map in this meta.
Fusion, yes,
Every map's a fusion map. Who am I kidding? But
indeed.
Fusions have definitely been an issue, I feel like, in this season, and it's weird that there hasn't been major changes to fusions at all,
Yeah,
but
it's
people
actually
just have
nuts.
been people have been figured out like, oh yeah, it's easy to use, and people are just abusing the shit out of it. That, and I find Le Monarch is not like a game breaking weapon, but to me,
it's
I
definitely
feel
annoying.
like yes, I
Yes.
agree. It's too oppressive for being a weapon that doesn't require special ammo to
Mhm.
basically utilize. I feel like something like that should, hey, you have 2 bullets like everybody fucking else and you better hit.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's way too oppressive. It shouldn't take out majority of your health and you have to basically sit behind a wall for s- you know 10 seconds, get your health back, and then be able to re-peek or whatever. It's just
Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of the oppressive weapons, the last word, the fusions, the lemon arc, what tactics have you two figured out to combat them? What
Shoot
is there
first.
anything that you've noticed? Okay, shoot first, sure. That doesn't really help with the fusion, but
My strat, I shoot them in the forehead before they can charge it up.
calling it out and
Or I
crying
die.
about it.
Yeah.
calling it out and crying about it.
It's like
Yeah.
die and cry. That's
Yeah.
about it.
I go, oh, well, if I see somebody who's using the last word, typically you're assuming that they're on controller and then they're using a sniper, so you get last word sniper. So I immediately call that out,
Yeah,
so
there's
that way you know,
no counter.
yeah, be
I
careful
can tell
not
you
to.
firsthand.
Yeah, to counter somebody who's using last word, there's not a lot of range on last word, so obviously just kind of want to either outrange that person, but then they're gonna get you with a sniper. So just kind of, hey, just hope that they're not better than you.
Right.
Really, that's
Hope
what
they
it
don't
is.
slide out
Hope
and
they're
catch
not. Hopefully, they're not better than you.
If you could tune anything on fusions to make them more in line with everything else, what would it be? Say you had an opportunity to talk with Bungie devs tomorrow, the Sandbox team. You're like, fix this one thing. What would it be?
Maybe the damage fall off for sure. They have
I
way
saw-
too much range.
I was talking about this on Twitter earlier, and I had an interesting take on the way that they could change fusions. Was to not allow fusions to basically kind of recharge their weapons before
It
they
was Maddie that
peak.
said that, yeah.
It was Maddie, right. I thought that was an interesting take, and I
Mhm.
don't know if I would necessarily agree, but I was like, I wonder.
It's definitely an interesting one.
Yeah,
that
it's
could work.
interesting.
I think
could.
the only thing that it wouldn't work with that is I think nobody would use it because of how often, better players slide out, slide in, right?
Good.
Mhm.
So if you slide out and then slide back just to check the lane, they wasted their shot completely. Whereas something like a sniper rifle, maybe you won't pull the trigger. You're kind of just peeking, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. For me personally, I don't really have that much of an opinion on the type of changes to make to or to fusion rifles. For me, it's just more learning how to combat them. Especially there's not a lot of really great fusion players out there, but when there are and you go up against them, it is incredibly hard to kind of combat that. Hey, they're coming around a corner. They're already pre-charged, know where your head's going to be at, and they don't not necessarily even have to be aiming at your head for you to be one shot by it. So I
Aim
don't know.
at the toes.
Yep. So.
No, absolutely. It's an interesting one because I mean they didn't really buff it per se, but I am seeing a lot more usage of it.
Oh yeah. I would say that fusion rifles have definitely become part of the meta at this point.
Yeah, 100%. I should probably explain. Mendez isn't actually banned, chat. That's the command that we have in here. Let me preface that real quick. Mendez, you can still type. Mendez is the homie.
Goodbye, Mendez.
Yeah, goodbye,
Done.
Mendez. Free my boy,
cut
ain't done nothing. Before my chat has a riot right now. Let me preface that. I saw Lycan had a really, really good question. It went back to Lemon Arc. Where did it go? Here it is. How would you balance Lemon Arc so it's less oppressive as a damage dealer?
Give it special ammo. Like, basically make it so that it's more like you have a limited amount of ammo when using that. You can't just continue to spam it.
That would work, but they'd have to separate the sandboxes because then that would kill it in PvE. So
That's
like
a
I
good
think
point.
that would
I
be
don't
good,
think
but it
about
only works
PvE
if
at all.
they have to. That's the thing. So that's never gonna happen. One thing I think they can do is make it so you can't swap off of a bow without reloading another arrow to kind of fix the bow swapping issue.
That's a good point. 100%.
What I've always thought would be a good fix for it is force them to reload before they put it away.
Yeah, it's like the Ariana swap. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm camo in your chat. It's a good point. Yeah.
Speaking of
That's-
Arianas, there's a new thing that I don't think anybody's realized yet that we ran into last weekend. The new Titan exotic that drops the sunspot when you drop your shield, it gives Arianas a one-tap potential. How would you guys compete against something like that? Obviously snipe, but we matched 3 Titans that all had the sunspot over shield. And we were on Widow's Court. It was...
I'm not familiar with that. Or I haven't run into it. Or...
I had neither until this week. And it was the most obnoxious game I've ever played. It was. They sat behind the brick rate.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It
And not
doesn't
to
sound like
change
a
the
good time.
subject. Yeah, no, not to change the subject, but I went to comp yesterday, and somebody was using a glaive to basically like teleport around the map. Like he was basically using it at the same way that you would use the sword kind of glitch, where you can kind of just when you have heavy, you can just kind of use it and
Sword launch.
very
Yep.
fast. But somebody's using a glaive and doing the same thing, and I couldn't figure out how he was doing it. And I don't know. I don't know if you guys have run into that, but that was something new.
I have not.
Maybe he was actually cheating. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
probably. I mean, they exist still. It's just a lot less.
He had a glaive in his hand every time he would kind of just show up in your face, and I was like, oh, that's weird.
That's interesting. I haven't seen that one yet.
Hopefully we don't.
No. Hopefully we really don't. All right. So Raven had a question. Says, as one Sherpa to another, has there been someone you carried before who was annoying or rude or anything like that? And how did you handle them?
Oh my god, yes. I had somebody who they were essentially saying like, you know, they were playing very well, and they had just won a raffle to go and play some trials, and you know, they were frustrated, and then they just left in the middle of the match. Which to me, I felt that it's like, hey, I get, you know, you don't win every game and you don't win every round, and if you're not playing as well, you know, that's kind of what we're here to try to help you, guide you, you know, as being part of at least this is my philosophy as like, you know, we're trying to help people get flawless, and we're also here to try to, hey, guide you, tell you, hey, this is things that you can do to improve. I take a look at people's armor all the time, like, hey, maybe you should take off your PDE mods and try to improve on, hey, maybe you should put a little bit more intellect on it or put a little more resilience on it. I'm constantly trying to let people know what they can do to improve, and especially when people are soliciting feedback. You know, I'll say, hey, play more as a team, or maybe switch type of weapon, or hey, it looks like you're overshooting quite a bit. You should probably change your sensitivity. Things like that. And to have somebody come in and win a raffle, and we're there to try to help you, and basically you tell us that we are wasting your time and they leave. You know, I felt that was kind of insulting, but I could understand that they were, you know, and talking to the person afterwards, they were just frustrated, and I get that, but to rage quit off of like game 2 of a card was a little...
2 they rage quit out?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jeez. Myron, how do you answer that question?
I haven't really had anything that was like too bad. The only thing I've had that's like been annoying is somebody who won a raffle trying to basically backseat me. I'm like,
Oh
that's
my
not
god, I
really
was literally thinking
what
about
you're
that.
here for.
Yep. They tell you how to
That is
play.
quite the opposite of my point of being here.
Right.
Somebody's yelling at you to get their res the whole time while
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like,
It's like, yo, you can get me, you can get your teammate. I'm like, hey man, no,
Yeah.
don't worry.
I've been here before.
I do
I've
this
done
a
this
lot.
once or twice this
Yeah.
weekend.
Quite a few times.
Yeah. Having people tell you what to do while you're like, hey, you won my raffle. Hold on.
I was like, whose raffle did I win?
Right.
Yeah.
Please res, I have ray gun.
I'll be the first person to admit I'm not the best player in the game, but if you're in the game and you're trying to tell me what to do and you're clearly not as good as I am, I'm gonna be like, all right, calm down, buddy.
Well, I mean, you have, I want to say this stream, it was 14 hours of trials.
Hmm.
That
Never
takes
in
a
my life.
special kind of person and an
Oh, I'm
actual
special.
really good gamer to not snap.
I I don't rage ever really. I think the big thing that makes me 100% will like quick like set that fire for me is like when melee whiffs happen for me where I should have won an engagement but the game robbed me of it. Those like makes my blood boil. But other
Should
than
play
that,
Titan.
I get
1 in
told
3
that all the time.
punches is a whiff.
Oh my god, it is so frustrating. For me, it's like I like to I can acknowledge, hey, you know what, this team's better than me, and you know what, that just means I need to get better. Or hey, we're facing some really cracked players, and that's fine. I understand that. Or hey, we should play better as a team. I can usually acknowledge, hey, this is where you need to improve. Or if we lose something to just absolute cheese, like playing 3 Titans using over shields on a cap point, like what can you do? Are you gonna get mad? Or are you just gonna learn from it and move on, or whatever? It's a fucking game, and I just really enjoy this particular game. And so Trials has always been a lot of fun, and it's my favorite game mode. But it's not something I don't take home and go like I'm personally like upset and there's no ego when it comes to how I feel about the game. I'm not like personally insulted if I lose.
You haven't flipped your chair yet. Got it.
Not yet. I want one day.
That's why Myron doesn't play with a cam, because I have a feeling he mutes and flips chairs every time.
I want to believe that.
I can see it under his very monotone exterior.
Myron's is secretly like Elite Death. He just breaks things all the time.
Yeah, I've gone through about 14 controllers,
Are you on Xbox controller or PlayStation controller?
I use an Astro controller.
Oh, what? Astro?
Yeah, it's technically a PlayStation controller, but I have it laid out like an Xbox one because that's where I came from.
I don't like this. This is confusing for me.
Yeah, it's so you can like arrange the location of the sticks and buttons however you want.
Okay.
Neat.
Use a Cronus. That's fair.
Oh yeah, my fault. Actually, I use a Zim.
Zim. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm hard cheating.
Zims are not that bad. As
They
I have
definitely are.
hold on, let me explain this, because like I used to think the same thing. I have 2 friends
I know, trust
that
me.
physically cannot hold a controller, and they have to play on
Mhm.
console because they can't afford a PC.
Yeah, on console it's
Zims?
very different, but using it on PC is
Yes, on
Definitely
PC it's a
cheating.
little different. On PC it's different because it gives you the aim assist, but a Zim is still limited to controller movement. That's one
Yeah,
thing that most people don't catch
it's a
on
soft
to.
aimbot though.
That
It is limited to a 20 sensitivity. You gotta realize that's fast as fuck, right? You can
Now it
turn
is,
pretty
yeah.
quick with that.
I'm thinking back to like the pre-sense, because that's the last time I talked to him.
Yeah.
Is like back when it was still you could only go up to 10 cents,
Mhm.
And they were like, dude, if you try and whip it faster than your turn, it vibrates on you, and you can't. It does not let you turn faster than what a controller turn would be.
Mhm.
I don't know though. I haven't seen it since it's gone up to 20, so maybe it's a lot more impressive now.
Definitely worse.
It's an interesting one because that's like, I understand if you're using it for like an actual medical issue. I get that.
Yeah, that completely fine with, but a lot of people are using it to gain an advantage.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it is a very large advantage having a mouse with aim assist.
Yeah, I had no idea that was even a thing. Like, the person that got me into Destiny was actually an ex-boyfriend of mine. Like he was playing Destiny 1 on a Zim like the whole time. And I was like, I didn't really think anything of it, and I had no idea that there was any sort of benefit to playing it. But that was back when, obviously we're
Yeah,
on PS4.
Dr. Lupo used to do that and shit. Nobody saw an issue with it.
Yeah. But
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know. I knew how it was before, and I knew that it wasn't as oppressive as it was, but I never really thought about it once the sense was able to be changed. I think there just needs to be keyboard and mouse support for a console.
Yeah,
That's what I think. Then they would have to. Then they.
Some games have that.
Yeah, then Zimming could be a different conversation,
Mm-hmm. Some mouse with aim is just a little much for me. I don't think that's okay.
You use a Cronus.
What?
That's
now?
a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke, chat.
What's a
Let me
Cronus?
explain that. It's like a strike pack. It plugs into the bottom of your controller.
That's the only one I don't know about. I know
what's
it's
a
like
strike
got
pack?
scripts
I don't
and
know
stuff.
any of this shit.
Basically, you plug it in and you can program how heavy of an aim assist it is. And there are places, normal places, you can buy it. I'm not explaining where because it's really fucking annoying.
Going down to my local
What's the
Walmart. I'll be back.
advantage? Yeah, what's the advantage of a strike? So you can basically adjust your own aim assist, but you can do that in game. What's the difference? I don't understand.
Can't do that
Because
here.
it increases the aim assist on top of what you already have.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Aim assist. I was thinking about just aiming in general. Okay. That makes
No.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
wow.
can adjust the aim assist and you can also adjust the recoil.
That's insane. Is this something that's like? Is that something that can be detected? Like if somebody's
Nope.
using that?
That's the worst part. Yeah, that's the worst part is it cannot.
There could be
And
people just using that all the time.
that's
essentially.
what Logic
No
thinks
idea.
that Myrrin's doing. So
Yeah.
you heard it here first, chat. He didn't know what it was. We're gonna leave that there.
Interesting.
That being said, if I find out any of you are using a Cronus or using a Zim without needing it, I'm gonna be
Just
very
get good.
disappointed. Just get good. Hit your
I
shots.
will call your mother.
Facts. I will forward the dick pics you sent me.
Ooh, there's a threat. Or
To
a
your
promise.
mother. Yeah. Straight promise.
Poor lady.
Right. Poor lady. I had a question and it just completely fell out of my brain right now.
That's all right. I'm gonna grab a drink really quick. I'll be right back.
Yep. Let me think. What was it? So, Myrrin, you main hunter.
Mhm.
Have you always
I
main
do.
hunter? Have you
Nope.
played on other classes?
I main hunter and warlock. So I used to play a lot of warlock in D1 as well. I'd be on that ram voidlock with a last word and a LDR. That was my go-to scrim loadout and whatnot back in the day. And then when Top Tree Dawn came out, I was mainly that for a while with the Ophidians.
Okay. I mean, Top Tree Dawn is still very potent.
Oh yeah.
It really is. I think.
Actually thinking about going back to warlock for a little bit.
There you go.
What do you main now? Are you a hunter?
Yeah.
The question that you walked away from was, your main class right now is a warlock. Have you always been a warlock?
Yes. Since
From
day
D1 all the way through, have you played any other classes? Have you experienced any of them? Experimented?
I have experimented with hunter. I do like playing hunter. I would say it's just as we were talking about this before the podcast, and I can't play I have a difficulty just kind of adjusting to the different kind of jumps to the way that their movement is, as opposed to just sticking to something consistent. So I typically I stick with consistent subclass. I'm consistent with my weapons, and it's something that I feel like it's gotten me to improve a lot more on my gameplay in general. If I stay consistent, I'm better at that than adjusting to something like, hey, I'm gonna play 3 different classes in a weekend. But that's a personal thing. I'm not as, I don't know, I guess adaptable in that
Right.
aspect. But yeah, always played a warlock. I played Dawnblade though back in D1 where it had self-res, and that was fun.
Oh, self-res Dawnblade was its own beast.
The Sun
That was-
Singer.
It was fun. It's interesting. I can't imagine with that if they would try to implement something like that again in D2. That would just be insane.
I think that's kind of why they won't, is they saw how oppressive it could be. But I don't know. We're going to keep it going. So we obviously have a Solar 3.0 and an Arc 3.0 coming. Which one are you most excited about, and why? What do you think is going to come out of it?
Sure. I feel like it's going to be all handling and speed stuff.
Arc, because I main Arc. I'm Chaos Reach all through and through.
Chaos Reach is going to get nerfed more.
I can't see that. It's pretty bad right now, to be honest. Like, I feel it so many times where I'll pop my super and I'll just get, like, triple tapped while I'm in the middle of, like, hey, I'm casting on your face, and they're like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. But
yeah,
super is, if you can play it right, and you can still be fairly oppressive with it, but it's definitely not where it used to be. And Geomags were definitely a huge issue, and I'm glad that it got nerfed, but I felt like that was really what the main issue was with Chaos Reach, and a lot of people talked about splash damage being an issue. I mean, there's tons of other supers that have worse splash damage in my opinion, but I'm partial because, I play it and I main it.
Right.
But,
I mean, that's fair. Do you guys think they're going to add... I mean, obviously they added some new stuff with Void 3.0 and giving Devour to every class. Do you think they're going to do something similar for Solar and Arc?
Yeah, definitely.
I have no idea. I don't know. Bungie does Bungie things, and who knows?
Bungie does Bungie things.
I don't try to anticipate the changes that they make. Sometimes they make zero sense to me, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excited though.
I'm very excited. We are coming close to the practical portion. Chat, if you have any more questions, feel free to type them now before we get into it. Beyond that, they're bringing back a returning map. Which map would you like to see, and why?
Asylum. Never won Asylum, and so many people talk about it all the time from D1, or from people that play D1. I felt like it was such a great map. And there's tons of shitty maps that they've decided to bring back, like fucking Twilight Gap. The worst, personally. And I'm not a huge fan of Eternity, but it's just because I'm bad on it. But Vostok isn't the worst thing in the world, but I'd love to see them bring back Asylum. There's another map too. I'm trying to think and remember what it was. I want to say it was a Mars map.
Something new.
Yeah, well, I mean, they said that they're bringing a new map too.
Yeah, man.
They said they're bringing a new map. I know. It's only been 2 years. It's
only 2 years.
We're not salty at all. This may also be why Scrim School took a year hiatus. Is because I couldn't talk about the same maps, the same playstyles, the same weapons.
Yeah, nothing to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of nice to have new stuff, new discussions. I mean, you say Asylum, but you've never played Asylum. It's a very small map.
I have played Asylum.
They'd have
to you have. That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to ask. Was do you think Asylum's actually going to play well with the movement and the FOV and things like that?
100%. I prefer smaller maps for when playing Trials, honestly. The large maps are, as a sniper, which is weird because, typically I can take advantage of
what I was about to say.
Larger maps, but I do like smaller maps. Jazz is one of my favorites. Endless Veil, another really good one. Those smaller maps where you have kind of just main lanes where you're engaging. Burnout is also a decent map, but...
And I just keep thinking about how hard I'm going to get fusion on every one of these maps.
Same. I mean, I think that's kind of the go-to until they pull fusions back a bit. Yeah, I don't know. I loved Asylum. I just don't know how well it's going to play in D2.
I don't think it's big enough, personally.
Yep, exactly. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
They'd have to scale it up a bit, and then I think it'd be fine. Keep the same layout, just make it a bit longer.
See, the map that I want, and I don't think anybody will... I'm sure everybody's going to flame me for this, is I want Dungeon back. Do you remember that map from the Taken King?
Is that the one with the little tunnel that pushed you downwards?
Yes. And then there's, like, the fight underneath that you can do, and then, like, rotating room that you can fall into.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking loved that map. It was the Dreadnought map.
Yeah.
I absolutely
There's something
loved
wrong
that
with you,
map.
but all for it.
I liked how many
Anything-
different
anything new,
angles
it
you
works
could
for
play
me.
in. Yeah. I mean, it was a bigger map, don't get me wrong. But I liked how many different angles you could play, because you could play top, bottom. Like, I like any map that changes the line of sight.
Verticality.
Exactly. But beyond that, I'm not seeing really any questions in chat. Oh, wait, here we go. Dr. Bulab says, what is your opinion on the current sandbox? To me, it seems like the most balanced it's been in a while, but he's curious of your opinions.
I agree with that.
I agree with that.
Aside
as well.
from fusions, that's it. That's my only issue is fusions. Anything else, I'm fine with currently. There's
I think
nothing else that stands out.
Yeah, I think that Sandbox was pretty perfect right before, Void 3.0. I think that they really kind of, after nerfing supers, and this is strictly, again, I'm coming from a Trials perspective. They nerfed supers, and they really kind of made it a lot more about gunplay, and that was something that was really lacking from, that kind of game mode for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really happy with the way that things are playing, and that it really required a lot more team play. It required a lot more gun skill, and as a first-person shooter PvP game, I mean, come on, let's plain and simple. It was a good sandbox. And then Void 3.0, I was like, haha, just kidding. We're gonna make it all about abilities again, and I was like, but
Love that.
you know. We adapt and we keep going because this obviously is a game that we love, and we just keep at it and deal with what comes. But I thought it was really good just before.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I think if Void 3.0's abilities weren't so oppressive, and I mean, I have not been on since the patch on Tuesday, so I don't know how it's feeling now, but it was pretty heavy. It was pretty heavy. It really was.
I don't feel like the nerfs have been that impactful on Void 3.0. Personally, I don't really even see much of a difference, but I only really played a little bit yesterday, and like I said, I haven't been really playing that much in the last couple of weeks. But I'm hoping that it's significant enough to make a difference and not make it feel as oppressive as it was. I like the game when it's more gun focused as opposed to being ability focused, because ability always feels really cheesy when you die to stupid stuff. I'd rather die because somebody's better than me and they can shoot better than me, as opposed to dying to, oh yeah, they were able to throw 3 grenades in one spot, or they were able to just sit in the back of the map or use stupid strategies. That never feels fulfilling, and there's not much that you can learn from that. It's easy to learn when somebody is like, hey, they played this way better, or their peak shots were on point, and that's something, hey, I could definitely learn from that experience. But when people are just relying on things like stasis, when that came out, that was just stupid, and everybody experienced that, and who has gone through that knows exactly how shitty that was in PvP. And obviously Void 3.0 is nowhere near as bad as that was. So I mean, I'm thankful and so happy that I was worried. That was one of my significant worries when it was coming out. I'm like, okay, great, here's gonna be stasis part 2. But now it does feel a lot better. I'm happier with the sandbox. I'm happier with the way that things are playing out, especially in the game right now. But there's always things that they can improve on.
Absolutely. Myrrin, you got anything to add to that?
No, not really. About it.
No, it's on point.
Yeah.
I like that. Nope.
Stasis bad. Yeah.
Stasis bad. The final question, and then we'll get into practical scrims, is flawless pool. We know it's not going anywhere. What would improve the experience of the flawless pool to make it so that more people would go?
I don't think it should exist entirely, because anything that splits the population, which is already minuscule anymore, it is bad. Because Trials thrives off of population entirely. The higher the population, the better the games are going to be, the more people playing, the better time you're going to have. So
Absolutely.
And they split that into 8 different pools when freelance is out as well.
Oh my god, it's the worst. And that was something that was a huge problem initially. Like, people, prior to them deciding to try out the flawless pool, not flawless pools, survive, like they were doing all of that because it was a response to the fact that the population for Trials was so abysmal. But I feel like what they didn't take into account was the fact that people didn't want to play PvP in Destiny because of cheaters. Was significantly why I felt like most of the people just decided to drop out and not continue playing. But I feel like they kind of devs just decided to overcorrect by oh yeah, people don't want to play trials because of the fact that it's so difficult, or like this is something that people who are casually playing and they're like, they're PvE main and they're just hopping in to try to get the pinnacle gear for the weekend. It's very difficult for them to do. So how do we make that easier? Now, it was compounded by the fact that there were so many cheaters, and cheaters were the big issue. Like, I feel like if they everyone was hailing how good and how awesome week 1 was when they basically made it, hey, here's one playlist, everyone can just give it a shot at trials, and by the way, we've implemented the anti-cheat. Everyone was super happy about that, and everyone keeps saying, hey, bring that back. I don't feel like I completely agree with Myrrin when he says there shouldn't be things that are splitting population whatsoever. I mean, it's already pretty much a niche part of Destiny's trials and people who consistently play it. It doesn't make any sense, in my opinion, why they would decide to keep having a flawless pool and a non-flawless pool, especially for the stupid shit that I see all the time on LFG, where people are just essentially using it as a fake elo farm, and I cringe when I see that shit. It's like, hey, looking for
Myrrin.
1.7 plus that he's doing. Okay, while I don't agree with the fact Myrrin is an insanely good player, he can easily do carries in flawless.
Oh, I absolutely could. I just don't want to.
Easily could. But you don't want, and that's
don't want to.
Totally fine, and that's something that people decide to do, and that's just a difference in opinion, and that's that. Hey, it's there, it's stupid, but it's a thing.
Yeah, like if I wasn't doing carries, I would entirely just be stacking the flawless pool. Like I wouldn't be resetting the stat farm. I do not care about this game enough to stat farm. I'm gonna flat out don't.
It's an ego thing that kids are getting like their egos boost off of like just farming and non-flawless pool, and it's so stupid easy sometimes, and I don't want to like sound like an egotistical asshole at this point, but it's really fairly easy, especially if you're
very, very easy.
Yes.
Why I do it requires minimal effort. I can pay more attention to my stream and my chat than I do to the game.
That's
absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm not knocking the 6-1 reset at all. I do also recognize that the minute that I saw one of the Bungie devs say, I finally went flawless thanks to the flawless pool.
Oh my god, right?
It's not going anywhere. Yeah. That was her statement she posted on Twitter, and I was like, first off, you're bold for posting that. Like, step 1, you're bold. Because there's a lot of people that are really unhappy right now. And 2, I finally messaged into it, and I was like, hey, are you going to try again now that you're in the flawless pool? And she goes, no. She goes, I have some other stuff to do. I got to do some nightfalls and things like that. It's like, what's the flawless pool for?
Yeah. So for you to just play a game a weekend, now it's easy for you and GG's, I guess. Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense. If they're going to make this the only thing that's an endgame content or endgame content for PvP, why would you make it easier? I know, I understand that they want more people to be joining in and playing and, increase the population. I understand that aspect of it, and to give more people a shot and incentivize people to have access to the weapons that are exclusive for trials. But at the same time, it's the only thing that is endgame for PvP. So, sorry, but sometimes you're going to have to give it more than 1 or 2 shots at getting flawless. It's just that comes with the territory, and stupid as it is, but get good and just keep trying at it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I really do. What would you do to improve the player pop if you could tell Bungie to do one thing? Obviously seasonal. Okay. What's one thing that you would change?
Yeah,
the only thing that they need.
They really need to basically create a better incentive for people to want to hop in here. It's just going to be primarily the thing that makes people hop into trials. Like, even if it's just something as stupid as getting exclusive, I don't know, just like even cosmetic gear, like they had in T1. Remember that? Yeah, something. That's going to definitely increase people to want to give it a shot and to try. but the fact that they haven't really come out with anything new, and they're not really even seem to be focusing on any new maps, or I don't they have to have an incentive, and that's really what it is for even the raids. Like, I have zero interest in doing any PvE, but whenever there's a new
Yep,
raid
same.
out, like, I'll hop in and I want to play. I want some of that new gear, and I want like I like the experience of trying to figure that kind of stuff out on day one, and like that's fun, but it's fun for like the first time, and then I'm like, all right, I'm over it. But that's, I feel like, the same kind of feeling that the people who are either casual players or they're really focused on PvE, where they want, hey, I want to get the trials gun, okay, I got it, bye, and then never try it again.
I absolutely agree with both of you. I've been saying forever that we need something to chase. Not one weapon every season to hopefully get a good roll. We need some armors, we need some extra cosmetics, we need some weapons with an S.
Yeah.
Really, that'd be the biggest thing to get a lot more people in there,
Yeah, absolutely.
But on that note, let's show these nice viewers of ours why you guys have been brought on as guests. Let's get popping into the practical portion.
All right.
So, chat, the way this works is we have a Discord. You will jump in. We will pull in 3 people from chat. 2 people will go on one of the guests' team, and 1 person will go on the other one with me. We will play a game, and then we will rotate. I'd like to get some new people in first, not my mods that usually hop in first game, try and fly in. Preferably some people that want to learn, because this is your opportunity to ask the guests questions in a one-on-one, one-on-two type basis as we play through the scrims, if that makes sense. So make sure to hop into the Discord. That way, there are scrim rules in the Discord as well. They're pretty light, just so that you can kind of get a feel for where what you're going to run into in the real world in PvP. So we're going to switch over to the practical portion. Start figuring out if you want to join and get a chance to learn. We'll be right back.